typically don't say anything. The reason for that is I never want to come across as an angry Black woman. I don't. But in me sharing my experiences, you guys already coined me as such. So I said, hey, if that's what you already see, I might as well address it. Hey guys, it's Anna Gogo, founder of Blk Pod Collective, Blk Pod Festival, and Adode Media. And this is the podcast chapter where I kind of share my little insights and tidbits to the podcast space and industry and really just kind of give you some insights to my experiences. So I launched the podcast Trapper on January 11th, to be exact. And quite frankly, some people were big mad. And I'm fascinated by it because, you know, in my first episode, I gave my story, my journey as to how I got into the space. And quite frankly, some of y'all were not too excited about the notion of me starting Blk Pod Collective. And here's the thing. I don't give a shit. Like, first and foremost. And it's one of those things where it made me realize why this was needed to begin with. These comments around, why are you as Black people always worried about race? Why are you as white people always in our face about our race? Ever thought about that? Because here's the thing. You have the luxury to not think about your race. And I'm blessed to be in Atlanta, Georgia, where I could really go several weeks without seeing another white person. I really could. Not because I have issues with white people, not because I'm anti-white. That's not the case. But because Atlanta is diverse enough to where I see people who look like me on a regular basis. But when I launched Blk Pod Collective, I met people who said in their town, their family was the only Black family. Yes, I'm taking a long pause so you can think about that. Nobody else around them looked like them. So when I say I launched Blk Pod Collective because of the fact that I wasn't seeing other people that look like me in podcasting, that is my experience. But somehow my experience got you big mad. If it's not about you, what are you worried about? This notion of one person indicated that they love Harry Potter books. They have read Harry Potter books. They like to write. They didn't see writers that look like them, but they didn't expect to see witches and goblins as writers in Harry Potter. So you are comparing the Black experience to that of a fictional character in essence. Like, do you really hear yourself? Representation matters. Because in these instances, it's important for us to see people who look like us so we know it's attainable. And I know that may not be your experience as a white person, but guess what? America is already set up for you. This world that we live in, you don't have to worry about representation. You don't have to make sure that you see yourself in it because guess what? This country was built to make sure you feel safe, seen, protected, and everything else in between. So the notion that you are upset that I decided to create Blk Pod Collective for Black podcasters to be able to network, come together, learn, and grow? Why are you worried about it? The world is already set up for you. Somebody went on to say, if we created a white podcast collective, guess what? The podcast industry is white. It already exists. You just haven't put a name on it. If you want to start your own organization, please, baby, don't make me be the one to stop you. Go for it. This way we can already know where you stand and we know who you are versus you being in our face amongst us, acting as if you actually care about the content and the work that we do. I talk about equity and I talk about representation for Black creatives because it matters to us. It doesn't have to matter to you. That's the big piece I want you to understand with this. This notion of we do things for your gaze and your attention is not true. Let's be clear. I didn't create Blk Pod Collective to get the attention of white creators, white people. I created it because of the fact that we needed a safe space to come together, to see each other, to learn and grow. And I typically don't say anything. The reason for that is I never want to come across as an angry Black woman. I don't. But in me sharing my experiences, you guys already coined me as such. So I said, hey, if that's what you already see, I might as well address it. Because this comments around, why are Black people always worried about race? There's other comments about, please stop segregating, just be a good podcaster. I didn't say we're segregating. I'm saying we're creating spaces for ourselves. Like, let's think of America. Even to this day, there's country clubs and so many things that do not include us. But yet, anytime in this country we've taken a step out to create something for ourselves, you guys are always big mad. And I'm not saying all white people, so let's be clear, because I do recognize that some of you are our allies, which we need. But let's also understand the fact of anytime we've built anything for ourselves, you guys have come to burn it down. That's the nature of this country. This is why I find it fascinating when we don't want to talk about history. Because history will show that there's this notion of we can't have anything for ourselves. And these comments further show me why it was necessary for me to create this platform, this organization, and everything else in between. And I typically like to take on an approach of, I don't want to be too loud about anything because I don't want anybody to label us as anything bad. I've always taken on an approach of, I create space for Black people, but I am so open to working with white creators, white companies, and white people in general. I never want anyone to feel ostracized. But for 4 years, I've taken on this approach of not wanting to make people feel ostracized, wanting to make sure that even though Blk Pod Festival is just open to Black speakers, anybody can attend, you guys still get upset every single time. When speaker applications open for Blk Pod Festival, the amount of people who call me racist because of the fact that they can't speak on my stage. Can we not have anything for ourselves? The amount of people who tell me that, well, we shouldn't allow you guys to speak at our stuff. That's perfectly fine too. See, because I'm tired of waiting for the doors to be opened for us. I'm tired of waiting for space to be created for us. So I decided to create space, and yet you are still upset. Make it make sense to me. You don't want us to beg to be on your stages. You don't want us to beg to be included. So guess what? We're going to go do our own things now, but yet you are still upset. And these comments really show how people are so disconnected. Because here's the truth. Don't know if you know this, because I've had people tell me they don't know any Black people. So let me educate you a little bit. When you walk into a space and you're the only Black person in the space, there's a certain level of uncomfort. Not because we think you're horrible people. That's not the case. We're uncomfortable because we just don't know what's going to happen. And history has shown us, not just history, a few weeks ago will show us, that we're not always safe and welcome in spaces. So if I walk into a space and I'm literally the only Black person there, my first thing, I'm looking for another Black person in the space. I'm looking for somebody to connect with. I'm not going to speak on the conference that it is, but there's a particular conference that we technically always find each other for comfort, for solace. And until you've been put into a space where you're the only white person there, you'll never understand. Because I bet you if you go to Nigeria, where I'm from, and you recognize you are the only white person in a sea of Black people, you too will look for something that resonates, something that looks like you and feels like you. There's nothing wrong with that. I would not be alarmed by that. But at the same token, this notion that we should just be happy with the little that you give us, the space that is created, be happy that you can be here. That is literally the reaction I've gotten from launching Blk Pod Collective, which I did 4 years ago. I'm now creating space to start talking about it more. And this is a reaction video, but this is also a call to action for my community. I want us to recognize that we have power. And the reason that people care about what we're doing is because we are the trendsetters. We are the ones to make waves. And people consistently look to us for creativity and ideas. So don't ever sell yourself short, because From people telling me, stop making everything about race. Why do Black people think about being Black 24/7? Don't you have anything better to do? My favorite one, the reason that podcasting is not for Black people is because you guys are uneducated. Podcasting is shown to be for highly educated people with higher incomes. And that's not racist, right? That has nothing to do with race, right? When in actuality, Black women are starting businesses more than anybody else. Black creators are leading the charge and leading the way, but yet there's people here who are upset at this notion. So I want you to remember, in everything that you do, people are watching. Do it in excellence and do it with pride. Show up in this space in a way that is not seen before. I tell people all the time, I may not have a large budget with things, but whether it's Blk Pod Collective, Blk Pod Festival, or Adode Media, I show up in excellence so that this way you recognize I don't need you. I want to include you. I work really hard. So this notion that, oh, it's all about race, it's not. It's about empowering my community. And see, and that's the difference. I care about this community in a way that I can't even explain. I care about the work that we do, the creativity, the things that I hear from us. And it saddens me when we don't make it beyond episode 5. It saddens me when we don't have the funds to keep doing this. But yet in Facebook groups across the way, I see other races and other creators who are literally, after 5 episodes, leaving their full-time jobs to create mediocre content. And yes, I said it, mediocre content. Because some of you who left some of these comments, I took the liberty to go find you. Isn't the internet a weird thing? I took the liberty to go see what you were putting out there. And it's not up to par with what I do. I know that for a fact. And here's the thing, if I was not doing something well, nobody would pay me any attention. And that's what I want my community to remember. Naysayers will come along because I'm not going to lie to you. I was nervous about creating content via video, YouTube, all of those things. I had so many reservations about putting myself out here. And I'm not going to lie, when these things first were said, because one person went as far as to say, Black women are just fat. And here she is just talking as a fat woman. Well, guess what, baby? I'm fat and I look good. Play with it if you want to. Because here's the thing. If you're not doing something well, if my content didn't look amazing, you would not feel threatened by it. And I want us to remember that as a community. You have the opportunity to create space for yourself. But 4 years ago, I worked in healthcare and I hated it. 4 years later, I run a media company. And I want you to think about that. So show up in excellence and don't worry about what these people have to say. And I hope I continue to make you big mad, okay? So tune in each week because, hey, help these numbers go up. Show up and show out for me. I'm so excited to have you here. I continue to look forward to being great so that this way you can sit here and feel it. So the next time somebody tells you, why are you so worried about being Black? Tell them it's because of the fact that Black is excellence. And I'm going to always show up in excellence. So best of luck to you. You know, help me out. Continue to comment. Throw your hate because guess what? It does good for my reach. So I appreciate you nonetheless. Until next time, guys, y'all have a good one.